great fortune to be here again with all of you, and we'll have a very short Kirtan in the beginning. We have Radha Chandra Bihari Brahma with us, also from Russia, and of course Kishore Brahma. He's been there last time as well. And Radha Chandra Bihari is a very expert musician, so we'll ask him to follow on harmonium, and in the end we'll ask him to lead Kirtan for us as well. Hare Krishna. We'll start with Prabhupada's pranam mantra. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaha Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Sunvadi Paschatya Deshatadine Namaste Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopidana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagi ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. This is for Prabhu. Hare Krishna. It's a great pleasure to be here with all of you. And I wanted to thank all of you for coming. We'll read one of the verses from Bhagavad-gītā, and then I was suggested that we say a few words on the topic of the joy of sharing Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Hope it won't be too boring discussing about joy. Om Gyantimirandasya Vinanjana Salakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manabhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutare Svayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Udaya Mad Prema Purayur Nirmaya Kshatera Mushapurasha Bhumte Gunan Sudasa Sadasatmaka Yalankrishishta Bhagavan Vacham Sime. So we'll read from the 9th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā, which is the most confidential knowledge. This is text number 2. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So text number 2 is rāja-vidyā rāja-guhyaṁ pavitramidam uttamam pratyaksha-vagamam dharmyam su-sukham kartum avyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. And there is quite long purport, so we'll just read the section towards the end, which explains about happiness of Krishna consciousness, su-sukham kartum avyayam. The process of devotional service is a very happy one, su-sukham. Why? Devotional service consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, so one can simply hear the chanting of the glories of the Lord, or can attend philosophical lectures on transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharyas. Simply by sitting one can learn, provided one doesn't fall into sleep. Simply by sitting one can learn, then one can eat the remnants of the food offered to God, nice palatable dishes. In every state, devotional service is joyful. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition. The Lord says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam, he is ready to accept from the devotee any kind of offering, never mind what, even a leaf, a flower, a bit of fruit, or a little water, which are all available in every part of the world, can be offered by any person, regardless of social position, and will be accepted if offered with love. There are many instances in history simply by tasting the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, great sages like Sanat Kumar became great devotees. Therefore, the devotional service is very nice, and it can be executed in a happy mood. God accepts only the love with which things are offered to Him. Hare Krishna. Krishna consciousness is joyful, as this verse is speaking about su-sukham kartum avyayam, and especially it is joyful when we share Krishna consciousness with others, and it is natural process, because if you become Krishna conscious, you feel enthusiastic, and you naturally want to share the same, what makes you happy with others, to make other people happy as well. So it is sharing, and I'm sure that few people here had this experience? How many of you had experience of sharing Krishna consciousness with others, especially if someone was interested? Anyone, please raise your hand. Okay, so quite a few. Most of you, I would say. And how that made you feel? Anyone wants to recall any particular experience? We have another radio mic we could pass around. Yeah, please. And maybe you could briefly introduce yourself also.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, it works.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My name is Anup Prasad. I've been attending this class since October of 2022. Thanks to Prabhuji, Gauravilas Prabhu. And after I got introduced to it, I realized that it is such a wonderful thing that very many more people need to get into this. So the first people that I introduced this to was my mother and my younger brother. My younger brother, he has started going to Hare Krishna temple in Greater Noida. He has become I think he called them Sudama Mitra. So he's taken regular membership. On my suggestion, which I kept receiving from our Prabhuji, I kept passing on those advice to him. And he started off with 1 mala, then 2 mala. And I think right now he has surpassed me. I've started doing 16. He has gone on to do 21 malas regularly.
Haribo! So let's give Prabhu big hand.
So it gives me a great satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear. And I heard around this condominium already in 5 families you have deities, deity worship. And some of the deities are very impressive. Like we were invited, what's the name of the lady who started worshipping?
Renu Mataji and Tarun Prabhu.
Renu Mataji and Tarun Prabhu, they invited us to see the Gornitai deities. I expected small Gornitai deities, but when I came I was shocked. Such a big and so beautiful and big altar and very high standard of worship. So it's amazing, amazing success. Anyone else wants to share? If you had any experience of sharing Krishna consciousness with someone? Okay, our youngest participant. Please introduce yourself also.
My name is Kian and I started doing this class since 2024 March something, and the first person I introduced to Krishna consciousness was my dear friend Sushrut. But instant regret, because he used to do anything anytime, and he also didn't used to take the name properly. So I explained him why. Then now he takes a Gita classes in which we learn the chapters, and he starts doing half a mala.
Haribo! Very good.
Huh?
Kiran, right? Kian. Thank you, Kian. Very good preacher. Anyone else wants to share? Last chance. Maybe some ladies want to share. Please raise your hand. Yes. Please give microphone. Also, if you could introduce yourself. Okay, a couple of people want to introduce.
Maharaji, I introduced this Krishna consciousness with my brother. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Just keep it closer to your mouth. Yeah, it's fine. It works.
Okay, so I shared it with my brother, and he's chanting, and he's too improved. And my cousin also, she also starts chanting, and my whole family is chanting 16 round. My husband, my father-in-law is chanting 16 round, and my daughter is starts chanting 8 rounds.
Haribo. Very good. Someone else wanted to share? Okay. All right, so we can see wonderful effects, and of course, without Krishna consciousness, how does it feel? Life is empty and meaningless, right? And especially, I'm thinking, like Prabhupada speaks, even the poorest people in the most wretched condition can practice Krishna consciousness. But I don't think it applies to here. There are no one in here in any desperate material condition. And it's very interesting, actually, that when you are in, poverty, when you are in a troublesome condition, you have a hope that, okay, I'll sort material life out and then I'll be happy, right? But if you have everything materially and still you see that, there is everything which supposed to make you happy, but you still feel bored and you feel that your life is completely aimless, right? So then, actually, what Prabhupada speaks in his books makes sense, right? So it's quite amazing that material success dispels all illusions, right? So, and it's very interesting that Krishna consciousness is actually meant for most successful people. The beginning of the 4th chapter, of course, the beginning of this chapter of Bhagavad-gītā is also saying rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ pavitram itam uttamam, that it's the king of knowledge, of all knowledge, and the topmost secret, and rāja-vidyā, right? It's royal knowledge. And in the beginning of the 4th chapter, it's also been explained whom Bhagavad-gītā was originally meant for, right? What's that? Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshaya vidu. So this knowledge originally was meant for Raja Rishi, for saintly kings. So it is spiritual knowledge meant for leadership. So it's really interesting fact. And if you already, if all your illusions about material happiness are fully dispelled, then you can peacefully practice Krishna consciousness without looking back, which is very interesting fact as such. And of course, somehow Krishna arranged that I also had my fair share of everything what could be achieved materially at a very young age, and all these illusions were dispelled, and I actually got totally depressed at some point because I didn't understand what I'm living for, because whatever I tried didn't make me happy. And basically the questions about meaning of life and search for spiritual knowledge finally brought me to Bhagavad-gītā, Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gītā. And of course, Bhagavad-gītā was such a relief, that one book which gives answer to every essential question human being can have. And I was so excited, actually, for the first time. It was in Russia, and it was 80s, I think, 84 for the first time I saw Bhagavad-gītā, and it was still communist country, and it was very hard to find Bhagavad-gītā. And my friend who told me about this knowledge, I requested him to bring me Bhagavad Gita. He said, this is very dangerous. If anyone will see us with this book, we may both go to jail. So he showed me this book very secretly, and I was begging him to allow me to take this book home and read it, but he flatly refused. I couldn't persuade him. But then I thought, never mind. At least now I know what I should be looking for. I will find this book. And I was very naive because it took me more than 3 years. And I couldn't find Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita anywhere. And at the time when I already lost all hope that I will ever see Bhagavad Gita in my life, a book distributor came to me with Bhagavad Gita. And I was so happy. And actually I was ready to pay anything for the book, but he said, like something very little you can give and have the book. I was shocked. And I started reading Bhagavad Gita, and I just wanted to share with everyone because I was thinking, everyone should have this knowledge. And it was very interesting. Some people were interested, some people were indifferent, and some people were quite negative about it. Later I found out that Krishna consciousness is also polarizing human society, because some people have divine and other people have demonic tendencies, and when they come in touch with Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, all their propensities become manifest. And I've seen how it happened. It's very interesting that I was thinking, this book is containing very deep philosophy, so I thought, someone who is highly educated would appreciate Bhagavad Gita. And one of our friends, he was son of some minister, someone who was highly positioned in the society, and he had a huge apartment in a very prestigious area, and he would invite his friends, and it was all antique with, original paintings of some famous painters, artists on the walls and all these things. And he knew different philosophies. You could talk to him on any subject matter. I thought pretty young. He was 17, I think. At the time, I was also around the same age. And I thought we'll have a good conversation on the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. And I was surprised because he said he never even heard of Bhagavad Gita. And I told him, this is the most famous book on Eastern spiritual philosophy. He was a bit ashamed. He said, I would like to see Bhagavad Gita. So I gave him the copy, and it was kind of underground printing, illegal printing, which made it even more interesting, of course, for him. So he opened Bhagavad Gita somewhere in the middle, maybe chapter 9 or 10. And of course, there are many verses in which Krishna is explaining his opulences, how he is everything, right? How he is the sound and ether, ability in man, and so many other things. And he started reading that part, and his reaction shocked me, because he was, looking at Bhagavad Gita in the beginning very respectfully, but after he started reading that, he became very annoyed. And he looked at me and he said, who is this Krishna anyway? And I told him, well, this is the Supreme Lord. And he said, if this is the Supreme Lord, he should be a little bit more humble and modest about himself. And he nearly threw Bhagavad-gītā in my hands. And actually, he was very soft-spoken, behaving like a high-level gentleman. But after he started, saying these things, that Krishna should be more modest and more, more humble about himself, and he started swearing like a sailor. And we were all shocked, we could not expect from such a person to swear like that. And it seemed like, he became possessed by some ghost or something. And we left. I was confused. I couldn't understand what happened. But later I realized it was envy. He thought he was God. And then suddenly he came across real God. And he became so disturbed, he's whatever was hiding inside just bursted out like that. So it's very interesting how it is happening. But of course, despite of that, if you continue introducing, there will be people like that, but if you continue introducing Krishna consciousness, there will be many amazing episodes which are meant to help understand how important Bhagavad-gītā is. That there are so many things, especially if you preach to your relatives, it's kind of easy. My parents took it up quite easily because they were attached to me. And that's why whatever I was doing, they became interested in that and started practicing just to support me, got initiated, etc. But when you preach to, I'm not saying that all of us have to do that, but it's very interesting, very challenging experience when you are out and on the street, for example, and you have to approach someone you never met before. It's really a situation when you have to be connected to Krishna, and Krishna manifests in very powerful ways. If you like, I could share a couple of stories from book distribution. I had one was in London. That was real interfaith story. Interfaith is really interesting aspect of our mission. Actually, very important aspect because Krishna consciousness, as Prabhupada would say, not just another religion, but it's a spiritual science meant for all people, regardless of what they practice. And so, to distribute books is quite a special art because, people are not going out to buy Prabhupada's books. That's probably the last thing they expect to buy. And so you have to be so convincing that you would convince them on the spot, not just to take the book for free, but also pay for it. Buy something they never were planning to buy, right? And so, but if you know the art, it's quite possible. So, as we learned, it's important to establish eye contact with person and then smile. And if they smile back to you, then there is a good chance that they would be interested. So then give them the book and say something to get them interested in the book and ask for donation. So I was doing that, and books were going. People were taking books. I was quite encouraged, and it was the busiest street in London, Oxford Street, the Central Street, and books were going out pretty fast. And then I kind of relaxed a bit, and people were walking also fast, so I had to be really fast to stop them. So the formula is: first you establish an eye contact, then you smile, and then you say something to the person to stop. And there is a particular order, but then I started speaking to people before establishing eye contact. So I was doing all three in one, and it was really risky, because if you stop the wrong person, it could be a problem. And it happened, and I stopped someone who looked totally crazy, disheveled hair and kind of rolling eyes. And I offered him the book, and then he started preaching to me. He said, what you're doing is coming from Satan. That the only true religion is Christianity, and you have to accept Jesus in your life, and all this. Started preaching to me that I have to become Christian. And I tried to tell him, look, we love Jesus Christ, we fully accept his teachings. But he said, no, you cannot tell these things to me, because you are trying to, talk yourself out. If you really sincerely accepted Jesus, as you said, you have to put all these books you have in a trash can and take Bible and read only Bible. I told him, these books cost money. I cannot just put them in a trash can. So, but he said no. He continued preaching to me. So, and he would not stop. I was even trying to go away from him, ignore him, but he would follow me and continue preaching. And I didn't know what to do. I tried to pretend, I do not see him, and stop someone else and offer them books. But then he would jump forward and he would say, these books are from Satan. Don't take these books. You will go to hell, this and that. And of course, he spoiled my whole book distribution. And I was just walking around, he was behind me, trying to preach to me. I was just waiting for him to get tired and go away, but he wouldn't. He was very persistent. And it was funny and sad at the same time. And but then I was thinking, I was praying inside. I was telling Krishna, please help me to get rid of this guy. And then I was passing by, and probably it looked really funny because I was dressed in my devotional dress, and he was following me and preaching to me. And we were passing by one, cafe shop, and a couple of workers were cleaning the window. And when they saw us, they stopped their job and they were just staring at us. And I looked at them and I told them, are you also Christians? You seem to be very interested in what's happening. And one of them became very annoyed. He said, what Christian? I am a devout Muslim. And I was thinking, wow, that gets interesting, interfaith dialogue right here. Hare Krishna, Christian, Muslim. And I addressed this Muslim. I said, do you agree with what this guy is saying? And he said, no way. He's talking bunch of rubbish. I said, could you please talk to him? He said, definitely I will. And then he started preaching to him. I was shocked myself. He had so much energy, and he was operating statistics, which was very impressive. He said, brother, wake up and give up your outdated Christianity, because Islam is the first and foremost faith on the planet. Every second, 2 new people become Muslims in this world. After so many years, Islam will be majority, and everyone will have to take Islam. So forget about your Christianity; it's outdated. Something like that. Very forcefully preaching to him, and this poor Christian, he couldn't argue much, but he tried anyway. They were arguing like that, and his other friend. He probably never saw him as a preacher before. And he was very impressed. And he turned to me. He was really bewildered. He turned to me and he said, I can't understand, why are they fighting in the name of God? Because I don't know who is God, how he looks like, where he lives, what he is doing. But I know one thing, that he is one for all, and he doesn't want us to fight between ourselves. And I said, this is true. This is what our books are saying also. And our books on the top of that are also saying who is God, where he lives, what he is doing, what's his name, everything about him. He said, really? I said, yeah. If you like to learn more, you can take one book, give a donation. So he's taking book, giving donation. Those guys are fighting. I walked out and continued book distribution. But the story didn't end there. After a few days, I'm distributing books on the same spot. And believe it or not, that Muslim walks towards me. And I'm thinking, I had such a hard time with this Christian. I could get rid of his preaching. If this Muslim will start preaching to me, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he's walking right to me to talk to me. And I'm thinking, what do I do? I should not talk to him about anything spiritual. Whether sports, politics, fashion, anything but God. And then he's coming closer, and I thought, let me strike the conversation first and get out of it quickly. And I looked at him, I smile, and he smiles back. I think, okay, it's a good sign. He's not so aggressive as the other day. And when he came, I said, hey, I'm really happy to see you. You really helped me out. That guy, gave me such a hard time I couldn't sell my books. But you helped me, you took care of him. And I wanted to thank you for that. And he said, no problem. I am always happy to help Hare Krishnas. And I was shocked. I said, do you know who we are? He said, of course I know. I work here. And your temple is just around the corner, and you have a restaurant there. And every day I'm going for lunch to your restaurant. And it shocked me even more. I said, but you're a Muslim, and we have vegetarian restaurant, and Muslims are not famous for being vegetarians. And he said, I am vegetarian. I said, how come that you are Muslim, but you are vegetarian? He said, yes, I am very serious Muslim. And I practice Islam since the age of 5. 5 times a day doing namaz and chanting the names of Allah and reading Quran every single day and doing all the fasting and everything else. And after a while, because they have certain fasting days in Islam when they don't take any meat. And he said, on those days when I was not taking any meat, I felt, really enlightened. I felt that my spiritual practice is really, taking me to another level. But after I would take meat, that would pull me down. And then I realized, okay, that means I have to give up meat altogether. Then I became vegetarian. And it dawned on me, it's Krishna. That first, he's very serious about his tradition, and that helps him to become vegetarian. Next, Krishna brings him to our restaurant. He starts taking prasadam. And next, he helps with book distribution. And I'm saying, listen, brother, that, it's really rare to find such a sincere Muslim like you and such a good person like you. And I wanted to appreciate, I wanted to, do something for you, give you something. But I only have the books, so if you would read, I would give you one book as a gift, if you're interested. He said, yes, I will read the book, but I know you maintain yourself by book distribution, so I won't be taking this book for free. I'll give you a donation. So he takes a book, gives a donation. So we haven't met after that, but I'm pretty sure that he is doing quite well in his spiritual development. And it actually helped me to understand one simple thing why Srila Prabhupada was stressing that you do not have to try to change person's religion. You just have to encourage them to become serious in their religion, because if they are serious, they will definitely, come to Krishna at a certain point. And so these kind of things become obvious if we, try to serve Krishna in this way. Of course, Srila Prabhupada was encouraging all the disciples to help him in book distribution. So it's extra Prabhupada's mercy. And it really saves people. One time in Russia, I was distributing books, and I was taking public transport, and I was waiting at the bus stop and dressed in devotee dress. And of course, in other countries, many times people mistake us for Buddhists, because some Buddhist monks, they also wear saffron dress, saffron robes. And one man came to me and he said, "Are you a Buddhist monk?" I said, "No, I'm a Hare Krishna monk." He said, "So what's the difference?" I said, "Well, the major difference is that Buddhists, they don't believe in God, and Hare Krishnas believe in God." And he said, "So you believe that there is God?" And I said, "Of course, yeah." So he said, "What makes you to believe that there is God?" I said, "Well, it's very simple, that there is mantra, Hare Krishna mantra, and if you practice that mantra, it is guaranteed that God will start manifesting, obviously manifesting in your life in many, many different ways, and will take care of everything in your life. And he said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. It doesn't cost anything. It's very easy, you can try." And I opened a book, and it was like a really big man, some Russians are really big. So he was huge, like a bear. I was hardly reaching his shoulder like that. And I was busy, showing him that part of the book with mantra meditation. And then I looked up on him and he was crying. And I was shocked, to see such a huge man crying. That's, very unusual. And I didn't know what to say. And then he said, "You saved my life, because my life is in such a mess right now that I was going to commit suicide. I was on my way. But you told me with such a conviction that if I chant this mantra, God will take care of me. And I want to give it a try." So he took a book, gave a donation, and I'm pretty sure that Krishna took care of him. So, and it was not the only case. Something similar also happened in UK one time. I also came across such an instance when one man started talking to me, and then in the course of conversation it became obvious that he wanted to commit suicide. But we had, we took journey on the same train, so he had enough time to explain what happened, and it was quite understandable because he had this bad habit of drinking. And, he was high-level specialist, nicely earning and having wife and having nice job and home and everything else. But the drinking habit finally, made his boss so tired of him, he was fired with a very bad CV so that no one would take him. And after that, his wife got annoyed with him and she kicked him out of the house. So in one day, he lost everything, right? And so obviously from material point of view, he had nothing to hold on to, so he wanted to commit suicide. But then after we spoke, he realized, okay, that it's not the end, it's Krishna's mercy that, helps him to reboot his life, started from, fresh page. And so, yes, sometimes things like that happen, that not only Krishna saves people spiritually, but sometimes Krishna also saves people materially from taking their life. And anyway, there were many instances like that. And I'm pretty sure that anyone who is preaching, there are tons of stories, devotees even writing books about their personal experiences, what was happening with them while they were preaching. But obviously, if you share Krishna with others, it's very rewarding in many, many ways. So we are actually getting more for ourselves than what we are giving to others. And that's why, we wanted to encourage all of you to also take part in that sharing. And if there are any comments, suggestions, complaints, questions on the subject, we could discuss.
Is book distribution also a way, like you said, to spread about Krishna?
If the book distribution is also a way to spread Krishna consciousness. Oh yeah, definitely, because books can reach out to people. There are many amazing stories how, one story my spiritual master told, how the books transforming people's lives. Not even us. We are just postmen, as Prabhupada would say, but the books, because books about Krishna or Krishna books of Krishna, like Bhagavad-gītā, these are Krishna words, that's Krishna directly. So Krishna is entering into people's homes, and they enter into very special relationships. And so very briefly, my spiritual master described what happened once in France, where he was organizing book distribution. And so there was one devotee lady, she was doing book distribution on the train, and she offered the book to some, very wealthy man, but he was totally materialistic, complete atheist. And so he took the book from this Mataji and he threw it on the ground and he started stomping the book, with his feet. And when she protested, she took her very roughly by the hair and he threw her out of the train like that, and came back being very happy that, he kind of punished some religious fanatic. Being very proud of himself, he went to Spain. He was Spanish. It was, international train going from Paris to Spain to Madrid. And he actually was a owner of quite a large bank. He was a banker and a businessman, very wealthy, very successful. But life takes different turns, and at some point he again got into drinking habit, and his whole business collapsed, and he lost everything, and his wife died in a car crash, something, series of tragic events were happening. And after he beat up this devotee, and he took the book just to show to his friends how he dealt with, someone who was trying to preach to him as a proof. And he kept that book in his library. And after this series of tragic events, he decided to take his life. And then he went into the library and he was thinking, okay, I'm going to die. And he suddenly remembered that case, and he decided to see what is this book anyway. And it was Krishna book. And he opened it up and he started reading. And from the first page he realized, that he messed up his life himself. And what he got was the, natural reaction. And he has to change his life. Instead of killing himself, he has to stop doing all nonsense. And then he decided to become a devotee. And luckily there was a temple address in the book, and he found temple in Madrid. And he came, he said, I want to become a devotee. Can you please take me? And devotees were asking, so who are you? What are you doing professionally? And he said, well, I was a banker and businessman. They said, okay, you can become an accountant in the temple. So he became a devotee like that. And so, yes, that it happened by association with Krishna directly in the form of a book. So that's why Srila Prabhupada was saying that what will your 2-minute lecture accomplish on the street if you try to explain to someone who is Krishna and what is Krishna consciousness? But if you give person a book, then the book will do the job. The book will explain everything, and that's why this is a very interesting mission to distribute Prabhupada's books. And yeah, there are many, many instances. There are some very funny story. Would you like to hear one funny story? One Russian man, he was very much interested in philosophy. And he came across devotee who distributed Bhagavad-gītā to him, explaining that this is very ancient, Eastern spiritual philosophy. So he took Bhagavad-gītā, went home, and he was voracious meat eater. And when he opened Bhagavad-gītā, started reading, very soon he came across the passage condemning meat eating. And he thought, okay, these people, through philosophy, they're trying to convince me to give up meat. That will never happen. It's a futile hope. And so he put the book away and he went to his kitchen to prepare some meat preparation for himself. And after eating, he became poisoned. He got food poisoning and he vomited. And he was thinking something was wrong with that meat. So he bought new meat. So he cooked it again, ate, and got food poisoning again. And he tried third time, same result, fourth time, same result. He was getting food poisoning from eating meat every single time. And he realized, I cannot eat meat anymore. That these, strange people, through this book, they put some magic spell on me, which doesn't allow me to eat meat anymore. So I guess I would have to become a vegetarian now, because there is no other option. And he was the kind of a person, of course, in India you would never come across someone like that. But in Russia, many people believe to be vegetarian means to
Eat fish.
eat maybe cabbage until end of your life. Only cabbage, nothing else. So just one thing, and that's it. So he had these kind of ideas about being vegetarian, very extreme ideas. So he bought himself cucumbers. He came back home, and what you call what do you call cucumber in Hindi? Kira? Kira. So he bought, few kg of kira, and he peeled them. He started chewing on these cucumbers with tears in his eyes. And after a couple of days chewing on cucumbers, he realized now that it will not go very far. That's wrong. I cannot survive like that on cucumbers. So I cannot eat meat and I cannot be vegetarian. So what do? I guess I have to find those people who spoiled my life and ask them what to do. So again, he discovered the address of the temple And he went and he said, how do you survive being vegetarian? And the devotee who he came across, very round-faced looking brahmachari, he said, oh, you can survive very nicely. Let us give you full meal, vegetarian meal. So he took him, and it was Sunday feast, so they gave him full feast. And he was so happy. He said, wow, you can cook like this, you can eat like this. Devotee said, of course, you have to have everything except meat. There is a huge variety. But then he said, well, I have to learn now how to cook. And devotee said, yeah, no problem. We have the cooking courses. You can sign up for this and learn. So, of course, after signing up, they taught him how to offer everything to Krishna. So, to cut the long story short, now he is one of the very prominent leaders in Moscow community, Brahmin initiated. And so this is how it happened, that it happened through the book, not through any other means. So yeah, these books are very powerful. And just by being at people's homes, they create this magic. All right, someone else?
Maharaj, a small question that you have traveled all over the world, and you must have seen a lot of military coups where there are generals outpowering the prime minister and taking over the government and everything. So that looks pretty okay for a country or for a general or for an army. But somebody like Hiranyakashipu or Hiranyaksh or people like that, how would they ever have that mentality to cope with God and become God or outpower them? How does that mentality come? Because if you read Bhagavatam, it's quite clear that they also had the concept of Vishnu being God. They also thought that we are spiritual beings, we are not the bodies. Nowadays, the demons or whoever you consider don't even know that they are having spiritual souls, but they knew all that, and still they had this mentality of coup against God and becoming God. So as you said about the first example about that guy who, he really blasted that, how audacious of Krishna to call himself as Krishna.
Oh, yes.
So,
yeah, actually, it's very interesting because I came across many different types of people, and it's pretty common that you offer someone a book and they ask, what is this book about? And you tell them this book is about God. And their answer would be, I don't need any God because I am God myself. Very typical. Yeah, many times. And actually, I came across one interesting book. It's called Rage Against God. And this book is written by one British former militant atheist. There are two different types of atheists. One is, they just don't believe in God, but they do not try to prove to everyone that there is no God. But militant atheists, they take it as their life's mission to prove to everyone that there is no God, right? Of course, there is a joke that if atheists don't believe in God, whom they, why do they try to prove to everyone that he doesn't exist? Even though some people may believe in God. It's like at least in Western world, many children believe in Santa Claus, right? Probably there is something similar in Bharat also, something fictitious children believe in, right? So adults know, at least in the West, that Santa Claus doesn't exist. But children believe in Santa Claus. But that's okay. These are children after all. And it would be crazy if some adult would go around all the children and tell them, please understand, Santa Claus does not exist, right? So if you actually know that someone doesn't exist and someone believes, okay, this person exists, so what's the big deal? Why do you have to prove to everyone that someone doesn't exist if you really believe that someone doesn't exist? That's a good question, right? That if God really doesn't exist, whom atheists do not believe in, right? So atheism is also a belief. It's a belief that there is no God. And and there were two brothers. Their surname was Higgins, and one was Peter, the other one was Christopher. And both of them were militant atheists. And, burning Bibles in their childhood and preaching to everyone that there is no God, this and that. And one of the brothers can believe, I think it was Peter, yes, that once he came across a painting made by the one Renaissance painter, and it was the Judgment Day painting. And, Renaissance was very powerful time because all these wonderful works of art were mostly inspired by God. And that's why they still carry very powerful energy within themselves. And so, just by looking at this picture, the Judgment Day, he actually had a transformation of heart. And he realized, this is where I'm heading to. I'm going to hell. Why do I try to fight against God if I don't believe in him? And the answer is simple. I believe in God, but I hate God, and I'm trying to do something bad to him. But I cannot fight with him. He is much more powerful than me. And he had this transformation, and he became devout Christian in front of this picture, in front of this painting. That's pretty amazing, right? And then he wrote this book, Rage Against God, proving, based on statistics again, statistics are really powerful, that atheism is nothing but anger directed towards God and trying to, retaliate against God because God did something in my life I didn't like, and I'm trying to, get back at him. That's atheism. So there are plenty of modern day Hiranyakshas and Hiranyakashipus. Of course, they are not that powerful, but still they angry at God, and because they angry at God, they try to tell everyone that there is no God, God does not exist, don't worship him, have nothing to do with him, etc.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. All right, I suppose the last one, and then we should have
Any questions?
little
Any-
kirtan. Yeah.
Prabhuji, Maharaj,
Yes. Microphone.
Maharaj,
It's okay.
a lot of people say that I believe. Maharaji, a lot of people say I believe in philosophy and I practice philosophy, but I stay away from spirituality and religion. How do we get them to start believing in Krishna or the God himself?
Hare Krishna. Yes, if people say that I want to stay away from spirituality and religion, that could be because they had bad experience. Everything's based on experience. And so Sometimes it is like that blind faith, blind following leads to problems. And after burning themselves with this blind following and blind faith, people, it's okay. People might, turn against any types of practices. And again, it's ignorance. And then passion means rejecting, or maybe passion was to blindly accept, and then ignorance and is blindly reject. It's like using knife and cutting yourself. And you say, okay, I'll never use knife in my life. I'll cut everything with fingers or fingernails, maybe. So, but the solution is to understand it was my mistake, and I just followed blindly, and therefore I had this bad experience. And so it's about understanding how to follow properly, because Srila Prabhupada explains that in the Purport to very famous text 434, which explains how do we establish our relationship with spiritual master, right? Tadviti pranipatena. And then he says that blind following and absurd questions are condemned in relation to the spiritual master. So, and many times it is happening like that. So if someone says like that, we have to find out what happened in their life, and maybe they really followed blindly something or someone, and explain to them that Krishna consciousness means buddhi yoga, yoga of intelligence, and we have to approach everything intelligently rather than blindly, and then we'll be okay. Hare Krishna. All right, so thank you all very much for your kind association, and we'll request Radhachandra Prabhu to lead the final kirtan, and the other feature of our Madhurena Samapayat sweet ending will be Mahaprasad from Jagannath Swami, from Jagannath Puri, since few of you already worshipping Jagannath in here. So I suppose Jagannath wanted you to take his Mahaprasad, sending that all the way from Jagannath Puri. So let's have Kirtan, and meanwhile we'll be distributing Jagannath Mahaprasad.
Hare Krishna. So very grateful to you, Maharaj, for coming all the way. It was a long travel from temple.
He brought me all the way here.
So thank you for extending yourself and sharing all the wonderful realizations and stories of your book distribution. And Maharaj has hundreds of such stories of his preaching in Russia. I think last time when Maharaj had come, he shared how he was preaching in Russia and what all he went through. So it was a wonderful experience, Maharaj, listening to you and understanding what is the joy of sharing Krishna consciousness. Because when we are practicing, that is a different joy, but when we share, that is a different feeling altogether. So I hope hearing you, all of us are inspired to share more. And of course, now in the December month, book distribution marathon is coming. So hope that some of us will be interested in doing book distribution also. So in our traditional style, we would like to thank Maharaj for sharing his wisdom and wonderful devotional realizations in our traditional style by very, very loudly chanting 3 times. Haribo! 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 And Maharaj is very wonderful, unique and sweet that wherever he goes, in the end he gets prasad for everyone. Today morning also he gave Bhagavatam class. After class he distributed prasad to all the devotees who had attended the class. And now also he has brought Jagannath Puri Mahaprasad. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So as Prabhuji will be leading the Kirtan, so we'll be singing the Kirtan, and then after some time we can come and take Mahaprasad from Maharaj himself. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Jagannath Swami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.